Tobias Harris over me?
Well, a little celebration was in order after what happened under 24 hours ago. The Philadelphia 76ers fall. Yes, the Philadelphia 76ers were eliminated in 6 by the New York Knicks earlier last night in a closeout performance, 115 to 118, after both Jalen Brunson and Joel Embiid went for both 39 points. Let's go over the upside, a bit of the downsides first. And the upsides, of course, the Knicks went over a nice start. They actually opened up pretty well, 36 to 22. Poor shooting. Let's say Tyrese Maxey was not doing so well. He kind of went a couple games scoreless. He was after his 46. He had a 46-point performance to close out over to an overtime finish. After trailing the Knicks by 6 at the end of overtime, and then Maxey, they were doubling, they were closing, they were trying to lighten his speed over in the paint, trying to attack over to the rim until he finally got things going over in the half. But the unsung hero that barely even played over to the third, after taking the majority lead early in the second half, around the third quarter, until the Knicks started battling back with an 8-0 comeback. Buddy Hield, put some respect on Buddy Hield's name, man. Buddy Hield had 20 points off the bench. And that was after his efficient 4-for-4 start over in corner threes that closed over the gap after Embiid was just flopping around, trying to push over for points around the paint until he actually got legitimate field goals around the third quarter, babying Isaiah Hartenstein. And that was after we were moving the ball because the Knicks were kind of dominating off points, off turnovers. Over steals, over Hartenstein, OG Anunoby couldn't clear over a dunk. Then we started rotating over Mitchell Robinson around the latter half of the first to the second quarter. He was dominant over offensive boards when he was leading around the half with 7 rebounds, but he couldn't put the ball into the goddamn basket. Now I understand Mitchell Robinson didn't have much offensive versatility even when he was healthy. Isaiah Hartenstein was at least the second best player off of the starting lineup, if it wasn't for OG and DiVincenzo's contributions when it came to their clutching threes, especially OG's game-tying shot that trailed it like 83 to 83 around the half after the Knicks were coming back from the fourth quarter after trailing for a majority of the third. And Miles McBride had a terrible shooting night. 1 for 4 around the third, and we didn't see him around the fourth. Precious Achiuwa did not play, and I thought his hustle and contribution around the boards, even though Knicks were kind of still out-rebounding the 76ers, I felt like his contributions would have been enough to close out over the perimeter game, to kind of switch, even though the Knicks were kind of weren't doing much, especially over their switching defense, or perimeter D usually is their best aspect of their game. Thibodeau was doing okay over rotations. We were playing minimal guys, like 43 minutes for Brunson, 45 minutes for OG Anunoby. While I know he still has that strap over his arm, because I know it's been under 2 months since he's been recovering after being out with a shoulder injury. Josh Hart, 46. Dante DiVincenzo clocked in the most minutes with 48 minutes, shooting 8 for 18 with a 5 of 9 from the field, off his clutch catch and shoot ability, while distributing for 7 rebounds, clocking in 2 steals and 3 blocks, especially a clutch rejection over on Joel Embiid off a putback attempt where that went over out of bounds. Impeccable showdown for DiVincenzo, and these are guards possibly being the biggest defensive impacts and offensive impacts over on the same floor. I guess for Sixers fans, not the best showing for Tyrese Maxey. Kelly Oubre was kind of clutching it over with his corner 3, trying to trail over momentum. And this is coming off Buddy Hield, that was the second highest scorer, next to Batum, that was actually doing well off putback dunks around the paint, clutching it over with shots off the wing. Cameron Payne only made like Jose Alvarado play, and then he nearly fouled out, trying to reach in on Brunson, foul him. Then he got slapped Brunson over in the face until he got substituted off for a majority over in the third. Then they rotated Paul Reed that was clutching on defense and got a block over on DiVincenzo, and then that was it. Tobias Harris, over anybody at this point, is an absolute disgrace into the game. Kyle Lowry, I know, is older, but Tobias Harris has been possibly what I just said earlier, has been. He is an overpriced wing that's inefficient. His offensive contributions come over is that he's a worser Chris Middleton that can't defend. While Chris Middleton was was one of the major reasons why the Milwaukee Bucks even held over into a 6-game series until they sadly fell over to the Pacers' dynamic fast break offense that closed out around the second half. Even Damian Lillard coming back while trying to fight over through an injury and still trying to survive with Embiid. Giannis coming back possibly with a game without him being even 50%. It's embarrassing. Tobias Harris 0 for 2 from the field. Was just grabbing over rebounds and just handing over on transition. Not even attempting fucking shots. What was even his ability over on the floor? Well, they have 3 players clocking in over 40 minutes over Kelly Oubre, producing more than Tobias Harris did in just over 25 minutes. And people that barely got like under 25 minutes did better. But Nicholas Batum to close over the lead. Buddy Hield with his 3-point shooting, contributing to a double-digit lead around the third that had a comfortable momentum shift. For the first quarter, the Sixers were trailing. Buddy Hield was a major contribution into this. A massive turnover to cut off the momentum and grab the energy was Cameron Payne. Joel Embiid trying to still be over a dominant force and actually doing some big men things around over Isaiah Hartenstein. But certain guys just felt like they weren't there. And Tyrese Maxey just clocking in under 20 points possibly just was a major... it just was not good, man. The Sixers, I don't know if they want to go over back to the drawing board. Because, of course, Nick Nurse, first season coaching, eliminated around the first round. He was very vocal on the sideline, obviously fighting over some alleged missed calls by the officiating. Possibly Scott Foster getting some out of bounds calls right. Took the L over on the calls, even though it's their own home court, so it's not even biased in that state. While Knicks fans were a lot more vocal. Poor defensive assignments also. Sixers were just, I guess, overly dependent on either their star players showing up. Buddy Hield, it just was their only heartbeat when it came over to perimeter offense with Tobias Harris not even doing anything. He gets left open for majority of the time around the wing. It just feels like he's just there just to move over the ball. Kelly Brody is the only person trying on offense and defense. And Maxey was just struggling to even catch any heat and round until we saw him in the fourth quarter. So this is just a out of nowhere team that they could still make over some moves to possibly try to be more of a realistic contender. But Knicks proceed over to the second round to face off against the Indiana Pacers. Possibly any memories from back in the 90s involving Reggie Miller, what the fuck? What he did to the Knicks would come back for vengeance. But for the Pacers estimate, this is their first playoff win since back in the LeBron James Big Three era with the Miami Heat. Yeah, it's been that long. Even Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis was the victims of the Cavaliers LeBron squads from back in the day when they were trading blows with the Warriors. And the Knicks are just trying to make it back to a conference semifinals appearance where they could possibly make the conference finals as I predicted like earlier in the channel. The Knicks are way too good even without their secondary primary scorer, Julius Randle. But their inefficiency to shoot the ball might come back over to bite them because this is a smaller lineup. The only big guys, they got to deal with a guy that they already know like Obi Toppin. Mitchell Robb is kind of the slow down pace setter defensive playmaker around the pick and roll that has a better 3-point shot than Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achua, and most of the playmaking is going to be produced over by Halliburton, Aaron Naismith, of course T.J. McConnell, the unsung player around the secondary unit. So Pacers, even though they have faults over the defensive side of the ball, they will push the Knicks to game plan. So this is going to be possibly an entertaining series. We still need to know what's going to happen over with the Cavaliers if they could proceed to finally close out their Game 6 tonight against the Orlando Magic, or possibly Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs, sell his performance, let the team that's lesser than them overcome this and push over a Game 7. I don't know. How you guys feel in the comment section below? You think the Knicks should have closed out this game earlier, or you think the Sixers actually, this is a realistic sense of the Sixers just being that good since Embiid came back in the latter half of the second half of the season over his return. That's it for me. Let's go New York Knicks.